Welcome to The Source with your host, Dr. C.T. Curry, and co-host Coby Owens. News all across the nation. The Source. Stay in the loop in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. Work together for change in the community. A call to action to find the resources. The Source, the latest in news.
Good evening. This is Dr. Curry.
This is Coby Owens.
And welcome to The Source. Coby, we are 26 showings in this 1 year, which means we're at the end of the year.
Yes.
I don't know. This has been a very, very remarkable year for us as a people. So many great things. And then there were some tragedies that occurred. I'm just glad as we are coming to the end of this year, we are seeing the curve of shootings and murders in our city. For the last couple of weeks, we were able to, kind of report that there were none. Now, you did share with me that there was a shooting, but no real incident.
Correct. There was a shooting over North Market Street around the 38th, 40th Street area, but no one was injured. There was a few shells found, but no one was injured in that.
Yeah. Well, I just hope that we will continue on this trajectory because this is wonderful. But there are some things that got to also shift with it beyond just great policing. There are some policies that need to be put in place so that some of the things that's causing these shootings will be handled as well. But we are very grateful that we are coming to the end of a year and we're not reporting a whole lot of shooting. There was an interesting situation that occurred at a motel in Newcastle County, which is near us. So I wanted to bring that up where a person, I think a 49-year-old, as you have indicated, was found dead and somebody was captured. What you know about it?
Yeah, so out at the Budget Inn on Memorial Drive, right off of Route 9, this past Sunday around 8:30 p.m., a 49-year-old man was gunned down and what they believe is an apparent robbery. The next day, the Newcastle County Police were able to solve the case and arrested a 30-year-old man from North Charleston, South Carolina, who was up here on felony charges on Monday. And he is currently being held on a $1.11 million cash bond over at Gander Hill. The 49-year-old was rushed to the hospital, but then later died at the hospital. The 30-year-old is being charged with a felony first-degree murder as well as attempted robbery, among other charges as well.
Wow. So he's coming from South Carolina. I wonder if he was been in the area for a while because he was he was wanted for felony charges there.
Correct.
And he came here and now he done murdered someone. I mean, do we know any more information on that individual?
So no more information has been given out, and they're trying to piece together, I guess, the timeline of how long he's actually been up here in Delaware before he killed someone. But again, this is very concerning. But it's not the city of Wilmington. It is Newcastle County. And I will say hats off to Newcastle County Police for solving this in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, well, and that is right. We do give them credit for that. But what about that? This was outside of a hotel. What type of hotel is this? Motel.
So this is a motel that is known for prostitution, that's known for drugs. All three of those hotels in that area on Route 9, right past the Bolorama. Two of them sit on the side where the McDonald's is and the others on the side where the Bolorama is. All three of those motels have contracts with the state. It's where the state pit people who are displaced and everything. Regardless of your current situation, they're pitting people in really bad situations.
So if I lived in a good neighborhood here in Wilmington or in the state of Delaware and I needed a place to stay, I would have to go there?
Potentially, yeah.
Wow.
And again, it keeps places like that open, but they need to clean it up out there. There's kids who are there. There's a ton of drugs. I know at one point in time at this motel, the Budget Inn, they actually had an armed security guard parked outside with cones there, and you had to show proof that you were staying at the motel to actually get into the parking lot. They had right at the gate. That is no longer true. They have stopped that for the last few months, actually, but they had started it earlier this year. So again, they made a small effort to try to curb some of the crime, but it did not last long.
But so you're saying that the state, somebody had recognized that the place is so deplorable that they needed to put an armed police officer or somebody out there to just check those who are coming in.
Yes.
It went away.
Yes.
The state, you said, make sure I'm right, has a contract with them.
Yes.
You will house and I mean, they can get a contract with the Westin. They can get a contract with all. Why there? Is it because it's cheaper?
It's because most of those rooms are usually going to be available when needed. Because they're in such bad condition, people don't want to stay there. If I'm visiting the state, I am not staying there, right? And I'm not bougie. I've stayed in some, okay places, not 5-star with a Michelin restaurant in the base in the lobby, but again, if I'm traveling to Wilmington, I'm staying at the Westin. I'm staying at the DoubleTree. I'm staying, not at the Hotel DuPont, but, nice quality hotels.
Yeah.
These motels are not that. Either a lot of truckers won't ever stay there anymore.
Well, this is something that maybe we need to have a conversation with the new governor to say, why are we holding on to this contract? Because to my understanding, some of the people I've talked with, they've shared that if the state didn't have a contract with them, they would shut down right away.
Correct.
Because they're not getting the business, or they would clean it up. Just the same as like with us, we have a daycare. There's certain standards you must have in order to keep your license. Why don't the state say, in order for us to for you to keep your contract with us, this has to occur? Why is that not happening?
That is a very interesting thing. I think that's something you have to ask of the current administration. I will say this incoming administration has no problem dealing with a vacant hotel. And you saw what they were able to do with one already. So again, I think if it does get to that point where they go ahead, take that contract away, then the business goes under, hopefully we'll be in a position where the state can go ahead and purchase that, bring in social services, but then also get it up and running in a dignified way for individuals to stay there.
And people will say quickly, Coby, y'all shouldn't be talking about this because it does help some people, but the trauma that people have to live in should not be to this level. They've already gone through a trauma. That's why they had to be displaced, whatever the situation is. We don't know what the situation is going to be. And then you got to be placed in a place where you don't know if you're going to live, you're going to die. You probably have a lot of roaches, and it's just really sad. And I took some time to talk about this one because I heard so many negative things about this area. And there are times when we've given people who are members ability to stay there a little bit longer because the state times run out, and they ask for donations and things of that nature. And we try to give them some assistance, and the place is just really deplorable. What I just pray that maybe we will have that or maybe I will have that conversation with the current administration, and maybe you're right. Maybe they should just take it over and let it become a state facility, to help those who are in need. They did a very good job at the one on 95.
Yeah, they did. And that one, I hate to say this, it is thriving, right? And I wish we weren't in a situation where we needed a building that large with that many rooms to be full. But we did a gift giveaway there for the holidays for Christmas. We had Santa, we had Jack Frost there, and there's 109 kids staying in there. And again, that's not every room, right? There's hundreds of rooms in that building. So again, it's a lot of families, a lot of individuals who are trying to get back up on their feet, who are working 2 and 3 jobs and still can't make ends meet because they can't pay 3 times rent for a down payment or whatsoever. So again, as we deal with this housing crisis, I know Matt is going to look at every option that they have when it comes to addressing affordable housing and helping people get back on their feet so that they aren't on the streets.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to look forward to that because at this point, I feel bad for the conditions that surround them. The last thing I want to bring up in this segment is the vehicle homicide that happened where the states are investigating right here in Wilmington. But I think it was more on the outskirts of Wilmington, but it says the address is Wilmington. You know anything about that?
Yeah, so by Troop 2, the collision unit. They have been investigating the accidents that have been going on. The Thomas Bridge Road near Brandywine Trail was closed due to a major crash. And again, they are looking for additional information, but they have identified the young man. He was a 22-year-old man, Alberto Valdez Orcazo of Wilmington, Delaware, as the young man who died in the police in the accident earlier this week. He was driving a 2009 blue Hyundai Elantra, traveling northbound on the road. And they don't quite know what led for him to travel into the southbound lane, into the path of a Mazda 2015 Mazda 6. And again, they collided. And unfortunately, the 22-year-old was taken to the hospital, but then later pronounced dead.
Yeah, I, and again, it could have been a health issue or it could have been other issues, but whatever it was, we certainly pray for his family and those who were involved, because the trauma is something we sometimes we live in. We pray only for those who have lost loved ones, but some of the traumas that people have to go through, who walk away and not die in this situation, is just as great and just as significant. We're going to take a quick commercial break because I'm excited about Coby Corner this week. I mean, there's some stuff you're going to talk about that I'm looking forward to diving into very nicely. So we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Clear.
All right, we're going to do.
As a mom, I want my kids' lives to be filled with joy and possibility, and I want that for every kid. That's why I support No Kid Hungry. They work in schools and communities to make sure every kid gets the healthy meals they need. Please join me in supporting No Kid Hungry for all kids.
Thank you.
Back. Coby, I'm excited about Coby's Corner. This is our last show of the year, and you waited to the last show to bring some good stuff to the people of our viewing audience.
It is. First, I want to talk about Newcastle County.
Yes.
We have our first Black elected county exec, and he has started to name key cabinet members in his administration. And the most recent one that I wanted to talk about is Marcus Henry has named Cleon Cawley Sr. as the general manager of Newcastle County's Public Works. And Cleon comes with a host of knowledge and background in the field. Newcastle County waste management improvement projects are going to be critical. It's about $12 million loan from the EPA. So you need someone in there who understands it and will know how to make sure the proper phases are being hit. They're responsible for emergency services when required as well too. So this, as we are in changing time, climate change and stuff like that, this is going to be a critical position. Cleon has worked in a similar positions in the past. He was actually chief of staff for Mayor Williams.
Yes, that's where I knew him
for the city of Wilmington. And then he was also commissioner of public works before that. But he also served as the deputy secretary of DelDOT, as well as he served for a little stint as the acting secretary of DelDOT for the state, which is the Delaware Department of Transportation. And then he is currently, a position he's now leaving, is the COO and senior vice president of Del State University. He actually went there after he founded his own law firm. He went there and was general counsel for a while. Then he moved over to the COO and senior vice president. He's the founding partner of Cawley & Cawley LLC and graduated from Howard University Law School. So again, he will take the helms of our public works department in Newcastle County come January 2025.
Excellent. That was an excellent choice.
Yeah.
And he has good experience. I mean, it's solid. solid experience. Yeah.
So I'm super excited for him. And again, as Marcus and all of them continue to make their picks over these next few weeks, Marcus will be sworn in on January 7th at 10 a.m. at the Route 9 Library, probably in the black box. So again, he'll probably make the rest of his picks over the next.
Why is he going to be sworn
week.
in a black box? Why can't he be sworn in the white box?
That's just the name of the theater there. But it looks like a big black box.
Yeah.
And then again, Matt will be sworn in. Matt and Kyle Evans-Gay will be sworn in on January 21st. And John Carney will be sworn in also on January 7th, but at 8 p.m. at the Chase Center.
Excellent.
Again, all of them are open to the public.
Yeah.
Next, I want to talk about some exciting news. DSU lost their COO, but gained one of the best receivers in Philadelphia Eagles history. Deshaun Jackson has agreed and it will be coming on board as their next head coach for their football team. That is huge. In a weekend that was filled with a lot of excitement. Just earlier, 2 days earlier, Mike Vick signed a contract to become the head coach of Norfolk University.
That's going to be interesting because you got all these powerful black people going to these HBCUs. They're going to bring back HBCU football.
Yeah.
I mean, and no, sports at large, but this is just unbelievable. I'm getting goosebumps. It's just wonderful.
So again, it's super exciting. He will replace Lee Hall, who was fired after 2 seasons at DSU. Yeah. He had a record of 2-21 and being 0-10 in a MEAC. So again, this is his first ever coaching job at any level. But again, his former Eagles teammate is the head coach at his MEAC, which is the Mid-Atlantic Conference. Their rivals Norfolk. So again, it's going to be very interesting to see these two go up against each other. Jackson played in the NFL for 15 years, 8 of them being for the Philadelphia Eagles. One of the most electrifying, fastest receivers that we ever saw. So again, definitely looking forward to his tenure as head coach at DSU. While they lost Cleon, they gained Jackson. So again, this is a
I don't know whether that's a balance, but that's huge.
So hopefully, it should excite people. It should get the alumni excited. Hopefully, more people come out to their games. I've played in games on the field that have been more packed than the college games when I was in high school. So again, hopefully this brings out the crowd, brings more money into the school as well too for the athletics, so that they can improve their.
And I want to say hats off to our good friend, the president there. Tony Allen has done a phenomenal job with recruiting talent as well as competent people.
Yes,
you talked about Carly. How do you say his last name?
Cleon
leaving. That's talent. That's raw talent. He's not giving people an opportunity who has the talent is where I think he's done a phenomenal job. And I'm just grateful that he's going to Delaware State, our new, Jackson, he's going to Delaware State. And I'm just going to be excited. Didn't see one of his former teammates to be playing against him, that's just going to bring back the excitement by itself, if nothing else. If they don't win any games, they got to win one. They got to win that game. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm the greatest. So I'm going to see the speed how he's going to really coach them. Yeah. Because a lot of times it's a reflection of who you are and what you've done. So we're going to see how this all turns out. And I'm very glad. Hats off to Tony for not holding around luggage, because at this point, people were concerned that they were going to just let him stay and live out his contract. But at some point, you have to say goodbye. You
do. And it can be hard sometimes. But again, I think, Tony is doing an excellent job there, bringing in people from all different backgrounds, bringing them into DSU, introducing them to the culture, bringing new opportunities for the students who are there as well too. So again, this is extremely exciting times for DSU.
Before you go to your next one, do you think that they're going to get the same results as our first NFL player who decided to take on and be a part of a HBCU? program?
I think people have to give them time, right?
But we didn't have to give him time.
Prime came in, Coach Prime, he came into a decent situation, right?
Okay.
So there was a lot of potential. He also had 2 top recruits coming in, and his own son, Shakur, and his other son, Shiloh. And then they were able to bring Travis Hunter in. So he came in with a 3-star, a 3-headed monster, right? DSU does not have that right now. And no offense to anyone whose son plays for DSU football, y'all just aren't on that level, right? And it's, I'm being completely non-biased.
And listen, I purposefully set the question up so you could say what you're saying.
Yeah.
I want to say that, but as a DSU fan and almost like I didn't graduate from there, but I worked there for several years. But I didn't want to say that.
Yeah.
But I do want to say it.
You have to give him time to work his magic.
Yes.
I
hope y'all heard that. Give him some time. I know he's famous, but you got to give him some time to build a program.
Right. I think also, what's going to come into play is, can he build out an NIL fund for DSU for their athletes there, so that they can better recruit star players, so that they have higher caliber players on the field as well too. You have a lot of potential there. But again, it starts with coaching. I watched multiple games of theirs. It's not the players, it's the coach. And the coach was calling high school plays. I'll just say that. So
I'm glad you gave him that much credit.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you. You're very polite. Because I didn't see that. Because sometimes you got to go a little lower than high school. Yeah. Because some high school coaches would get terminated if they did something. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So again, that's just... I'm definitely looking forward to it. Definitely can't wait to see where his tenure goes. But I say it'll probably take 2 or 3 seasons for him to really show true success.
But the only game he has to win is against Howard.
Yep.
That's the only one. And all the rest of them, we'll give you some time. We ain't giving you no time for that one. Go ahead.
But my next point, the death penalty legislation is back here in Delaware. Last session, Representative Sherry Dorsey Walker and State Senator Kyle Evans Gay, 2 opponents against each other for lieutenant governor, put their differences aside, and both sponsored, led by the House Sherry Dorsey Walker rep, to eliminate the death penalty. With Sherry Dorsey Walker no longer being there, Representative Sean Lynn has brought the bill back to make it a constitutional amendment to eliminate the death penalty here in Delaware. So as of right now, there is no death penalty in Delaware. Sherry was able to get that bill passed. Sean is bringing back the bill to change our constitution so that it can never be put back in to use here in Delaware.
Now, how did that vote go? Do you remember?
It died on party lines. So, Pete Swartkoff and Democrat Pete Swartkoff and Bill Carson voted with the Republicans, which didn't give it enough votes. Carson is a former fire chief, and Pete is a former 20-year vet of the state police, who they both believe that if individual kills a public safety official, the state should have the power to bring back the death penalty to execute someone.
Okay.
And again, this is a lot of talks around the death penalty. I know me and you were talking about Biden commuting the 37 out of the 40 individuals on death row, on federal death row. He left 3.
Right. And before you go to those 3, because even the 2 you just named, the two representatives who you just named, this is my problem. I do not believe in the death penalty, okay? I just believe that if you're going to be in jail the rest of your life for what you did, you're serving out your time. You did take a life, but only God can give and take life. That's what I believe, okay? However, what Biden did is hypocrisy. This is my own opinion. It's hypocrisy because the 3 worst people, I guess we could call them, whether it be from the Tree of Life, the church, they were horrible. But to some other families, some of the 37 that he forgave, they were horrible too. If you don't believe in the death penalty, then he should have commuted all of them. To do certain ones, it almost looked like it's political, and that's probably just like like one of the representatives, both of them. If you hurt a fire person or if you hurt a police officer, then you need to die. No, if you don't believe in the death penalty, you need to be able to rot in jail.
I agree with you. And the 3 that Biden left out of the 40, he left Dylan Ralph, who in 2015 killed 9 members of the Mother Emanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina. 2013, George Torskowski, the Boston Marathon bomber, and then Robert Bowers, who shot 11 individuals in the Pittsburgh Tree of Life Synagogue in 2018. He left those 3 to face execution, and he commuted the sentence of 37 others.
And I say all 3 of them are horrible, deplorable people. Please understand, those of you who are watching, they are horrible, deplorable people. But we should never value a person that is publicly horrible and deplorable, as opposed to somebody who may be on death row because they killed a person who was loved and cherished, and then say, you know what, you can be commuted, but the other ones need to go in and face their ultimate fate. Unacceptable. And I just think it's hypocrisy. I support Biden in a lot of things, but this one, I think if he was going to do it all. If you're not going to do it all, do none. Because that, at the end of the day, is hypocrisy when you do what he did. But I'm gonna leave it there. This is your report.
And my last point that I want to get to just real quick is homelessness in the city of Wilmington.
Yeah.
We talked about how Mayor Pazicki has decided to go up against faith leaders in his last action going out the door January 7th at 8 o'clock and not get here quick enough so we can finally be rid of him. But a letter has been written by 2 UD professors who are work at the Biden school, but not addressed to Pazicki because they find Pazicki to be unwilling to work with the community unless it's a major donor who's willing to throw some money his way. But they address it to Mayor-elect Carney, asking to work with him and let them bring their resources in, partner with the city, partner with nonprofits, and partner with private institutions to address the homelessness in the city of Wilmington. And this is just my take on it, right? We need to establish regular communication with all stakeholders, right, to address this. When you pit a face to homelessness, people care more.
That's right.
They're not just bodies on the street. They are someone's child who may have fell on hard times, right? We can do something about that. We can make a difference. We're the most profitable nation in the world, right? Everyone says, oh, Delaware runs through Wilmington. Well, if that is true, that makes us a pretty powerful city, which means we can do something about our homeless issue here in the city of Wilmington that is humane and respectful to the individuals who are unhoused right now. You also, and one of the things they also highlighted is you cannot just police your way out of this, right?
Absolutely.
Arresting people for being homeless does not fix the issue because when they get out, where are they going to go? And now they owe even more money to the state or to the city or whoever give them the fine or arrest them and stuff like that. So you just create a cycle that just gets worse and worse and worse. So again, as we wrap up the year and start a new administration, start a new council, the 109th session, I'm saying this, and others are saying this to Mayor-elect Carney. Let's work together.
Yeah.
Let's get this done. Let's roll up our sleeves and let's change the direction we're going in.
Especially with the homeless.
Especially
Can
with
I
the
just
homeless.
say this? And I was hesitating to say anything because my daughter, who has a project now every Christmas.
Okay.
She decided, because when we drive, I pick her up on Mondays, and we have to drive through where that bus station is, and all the homeless people a lot of them are, not all of them, but a lot of them are staying in that area. And my daughter has a heart for humanity. And she said, Daddy, we need to do something. It was last year, she said it first, for the homeless. So instead of me getting all this stuff for Christmas, make sure, let's just take care of them. And we did some stuff. And this year, and again, my daughter does not want me talking about it because she says, according to the Bible, if you talk about it, then you take away her private gifts that God has for her. But I want to bring this up because when you put a face on when we were there on last week, and we were giving out the food and the care packages that we were giving out, you saw somebody's son.
Mm-hmm.
You saw somebody's daughter. As a matter of fact, my daughter started crying because one of the ladies were pregnant.
Mm.
I mean, she said a person can be pregnant and be homeless.
Mm-hmm.
We demonize the homeless. Now, there are some who choose to do this because they don't want the rules of whatever.
Right.
But that's not the majority. And also, some of this is mental. Some of these are our vets who went away and seen some things that kind of messed them up and were not treated appropriately.
Absolutely.
We can never, ever, as we close out this year, and we're going to talk about, we're going to have our moment, we should not be allowing them to be demonized. And the way the current mayor, handled the homeless is inhumane.
Mm-hmm.
And what he has to be careful of is his grandchildren and their children having to pay the sins of him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm very big on making sure I treat people right. Because you never know who's going to have to pick up the sins for my wrong treating. Because this is just unbelievable. And I'm sitting back saying, wow. And I've seen some places, my wife was even talking about, where they built certain things where it gave some dignity and they could still have that. If they want to stay outside, it gave it a dignity. This is your space.
Mm-hmm.
There's money. We can do that.
I know.
But to just keep pushing them until they're out of our city.
Yep.
So that my donors can feel comfortable. Unacceptable.
He pushed people out of Rodney Square. He
Yes.
pushed people. He attacked the church. He attacked the Vision Factory. The Creative Factory. He has, and this is Michael Pizicki, just to be clear for everyone. In my eyes, is one of the worst mayors of my lifetime. We saw crime skyrocket under him. We saw this city become unaffordable to so many. We saw neighborhoods ignored like never before. And we saw a disregard for Black and brown people in this city, except for the few that he would give a little gold coin to.
Or a little fish sandwich.
Right, or a fish sandwich too. But again, if you look at the vast majority of this city, it has been a tale of two cities under Mike Pizicki, and I am glad this chapter is finally coming to an end. And to him, on his way out, I bid you a goodbye, and hopefully we never have to deal with you ever again.
The Bible says, weeping endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. We lived through it.
Yeah.
We were able to live through it. We got some things that we can talk about, but we lived through it. And I join your sentiments. I've never, and we're going to have our reflections, but I've never worked under a mayor. There were mayors I disagreed with. Let me tell you. Now, although Dennis was one of the better ones that I was working with, but there are other mayors that were, we went at it when I first got here, but they were never malicious. They didn't intentionally try to block and hurt people. They were open for discussion and debate. That's why I'm kind of looking forward to Carney, because at the end of the day, I don't agree with everything he does, but it's not about agreeing with everything.
Right.
It's about understanding we're two humans trying to make life better for others. So this is the way it is. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have some reflections of the year of 2024. Let's see where we've been and let's talk a little bit more about this. We'll be right back. We're back. Coby, this has been a very, very interesting year. We came out of COVID. There were several things that occurred. We left the last segment talking about one of the worst mayors that the city of Wilmington has ever had, although some will view him as a good mayor because he was able to build the riverfront, which he was paid to run for many, many years, and put a building in a Black community that is not housed appropriately. But at the end of the day, Coby, we are at a point where I'm just wondering, what are some of the how do we say this? Memorable moments that we can just reflect on in this last segment of our show?
Yeah, we have gotten some huge legislative wins recently this year. I definitely want to give a shout out to Representative Sherry Dorsey Walker.
Yes.
By 2025, she may no longer be down in Dover. She was able to get a lot of stuff done. And one of those major bills was making sure that there was no more lunchroom debt that was stopping kids from participating in extracurricular activities, whether it was math club, sports, going to homecoming, going to prom. These are once-in-a-lifetime opportunities that a lot of kids got stripped of that during the pandemic already. So again, creating a system for the state to say, hey, if they owe a few dollars, who cares? As long as they pay it, they'll get it. You'll get your money back. But don't stop these kids from their opportunities of going and having fun during these critical years for them. So again, things like that. I would also have to say the primary election at least went really good here in Delaware. I can't say too much. The general election in Delaware went good. Yeah. National, not so much. But again, you know, I think here in Delaware, we elected a very strong slate of individuals from the federal all the way down to local. But we still have a lot of engagement to do as well, too. We have school board elections right around the corner. It never stops here. But, you know, I think overall, you know, I think those are some of my highlights for the year. And then just the fun and the good times. One of my personal favorites was early in the summer, we did a fishing trip. We took a bunch of young boys from the city of Wilmington and a bunch of professionals, black men from the city. And we took a fishing trip with Parks and Rec. Altogether, it was about 52, 53 individuals, but got time to talk to them about what's going on in their lives, how they view the city, and also got to teach them how to fish. And it was real interesting because at first, you know, when I was a kid, I used to love playing with worms and in the dirt and everything. And at first, those kids were like, a worm? But by the end of the trip, we were out on the water maybe about 4 hours. By the end of the trip, they were pitting the worms on the hooks by themselves, going ahead, pulling the fish off when they caught it, and just seeing their faces light up when they did catch a fish, regardless of the size. I will say I did have the record for the largest fish caught. But
maybe because you're a big fish, I don't know.
But we did have fun out there, and hopefully we keep things like that going, something positive for the community. It just gives us a time to get out our own way of thinking, and really listen to what they're going through right now, because their generation is so different from my generation and the generation of before me.
Yeah. And as I'm looking at some of the reflections I have for this year, I want to turn my attention towards some particular politicians. You did name one of my main people who I felt did a phenomenal job, and that was Sherry Walker. She really did what a lot of people could not do. She understood the art of compromise. She understood how to get in there and get her legislation passed. A lot of wins. I mean, you name one bill, but there's many others that we could certainly name. And I think, she didn't win the election. And even though she didn't, I just hope that one of these, especially the governor, who I saw her with a whole lot, hope he would pick her up and keep her active, because she knows how to get in and talk to the folks to get done what needs to be done. But I also want to give a strong shout out to Jay Street, a community activist, a county council person. I don't care when I call that guy. He's ready to fight. I remember when I called him when we were going through certain things, and he was like, what we got to do? What we got to do? And I say to Jay, you have fought for this community. As we take a reflection back over this year, you have been the consistency that our community needed. You're not biased as it relates to who you support. Although, when we disagree on who to support for different positions, he still loved me and still let me stay around him. But he has been a strong guiding light. And I want to give one more shout out, and that is to Mouse. Yeah. People don't know. I mean, a lot of times people say, well, he does his own agenda. At the end of the day, that man is fighting for people, and we don't even know. Sometimes I'll call him about, how you doing? Are you living? Are you still breathing? And he started telling me about these cases. I'm like, are they real? And he says, I said, that really happened? So I want to just take this moment as we go back and look over this year. I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful for many things. I'm grateful for E. Zion Fair Church, but these three individuals are considered to be stars in my book. And I think they have done very well. And I'm hopeful that they will continue to do well and have a good health.
I agree with you on that, especially with Jay and Mouse.
Yeah.
Those two have been on the battlefield for a very long time.
And they almost look like they've been on it for a long time.
But I have a lot of love for both of them and Sherry as well, too.
Yeah.
So, again, as 2025, praying for continued coverage for them, blessing and peace, because the work that they do is very stressful, and takes a toll on your body as well.
Yeah, and as we're closing out this year, also I wanted to try to raise the question with you and myself. What are the changes you're hoping for in 2000? Now you get ready to become the big time and elected official, but I don't know where your area of thought is. What are some of the changes you hoping for in the year 2025?
Yeah, there's a few things. One, I hope that because we're at such a time of transition for the city, for the county, for the state, and for the nation as well, too, with Trump coming back in, it allows us an opportunity to learn how to come together and fight together because of what we're going to have to go up against on the federal level. It's not going to be easy peasy like it was with Obama and Biden. We're not going to have as much federal money flowing into this state. Heck, they're either going to try to get rid of earmarks, right?
Yeah.
We're going to see systematically Trump and them, who already control the Supreme Court, so it's not even like we can really sue, try to dismantle our basic human and civil rights. And, people are like, oh, well, he said he's only going to go after gay marriage. Well, then next is going to be interracial marriage. Then next is going to be marriage that represents minorities. They're going to try to systematically change every little bit. They already went after affirmative action.
Right.
And I don't know if you've recently seen the report, right? So they were able to convince Asian Americans to sue to get rid of affirmative action. And now who's the least likely to get into colleges now? Asian Americans, who immensely benefited from affirmative action.
And people don't understand that. They tend to think that Black people always are the ones, but white women, Asian Americans, they're the ones who get all the benefits out of some of these actions, although we've benefited, but not to the level that some of them. So I'm glad you brought that up, and that was very good.
They are talking about rolling back funding for Medicare. They are talking about rolling back benefits for Social Security. They are talking about going after the community eligibility program, which is if your child is in school, it's the program that allows them to receive free lunch or breakfast if you're at a certain income level. It's things like that that they are going after, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Project 2025 is real. It's a over 900-page document, and they are already putting the pieces in place for it. So it's going to be a roller coaster of a year, but here on a local level, we have powers to protect our citizens, our constituents, and I hope that we can come together and work together in a way that is beneficial to protect and honor everyone's civil rights and human rights.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you ended on that one, because that's one of the things I'm hoping for this year. Is I'm hoping that the Democratic Party, on a national level as well as on the local level, will get together and recognize we are a big tent party. And because I was thinking about becoming independent, to be honest with you, not because I don't believe in the principles that the Democratic Party believes in, because I do. However, I think our party sometimes go too left, and I'm not saying, because some of the things that the left fight for, I agree with, okay? But it is creating sometimes some problem and friction that is creating and then we fight against ourselves. We had one person who was elected saying they wouldn't vote for anybody, and who's Democrat. How could you be in that party and say you wouldn't vote for anyone? There's a lot of friction going on. So one of the things I'm hoping for, and so we can take back the Senate, take back the House, take back the presidency, take back our dignity. I hope that the Democratic Party will come together. Another thing that I'm interested in and I'm hopeful for, and that is that the man I met named John Carney, a few months ago, about a month ago, when I did not believe I even needed to schedule a meeting with him because I just didn't think we would get along. But I was encouraged to do it. And he heard me and he responded with an open mind. I'm hoping that that same spirit, I'm not going to always agree. We're not always going to agree. But that spirit of openness, and you kind of said that before, you said he has a different temperament. And I didn't know it because I don't know him that well. I've not really dealt with him, other than a few interactions, and they weren't all that positive. But I hope that, because the city of Wilmington is a great place, we need a man or a woman, a person who can lead us to a stronger place. And maybe he could be that bridge from this guy who we were currently working under. So I'm hoping that will happen. But there's two other things, and I don't want to cut you off from anything you want to add to your list. There are two other things I'm hoping for too. We got this building fund going at our church. We were in debt $3.5 million. We purchased the property here, and the church at E. Zion Fair never had any bills before I got here. This little young guy coming in, I ain't so young now. He coming in and he got all these dreams and visions and end up putting us in $3.5 million worth of debt. Coby, this is the year that we're going to pay everything off. We are at a place now where we are under $700,000.
Good.
And we believe that we will pay it. And that's what I want to do. And I'm also going to be celebrating my 20th anniversary. So I'm hopeful that will happen. And once that happens, because we almost finished building these houses over here, which are debt free. We were able to find the money, the funding, and everything seems to be working the way it needs to, even though some politicians lied to me. But that's all right. God always makes a way. But I hope that we are able to pay this. I'm praying that we'll be able to pay this church off. We will be the first Black church in this with that level of debt to burn a mortgage. People have burned $100,000 mortgages. They've burned $200,000, but $3.5 million, we'll be the first. And not that I want the bragging rights. I really want to make it happen so that E. Zion Fair can do many, many, many more things for the community that we live in.
Good. And I just want to say I did drive past those houses on my way in here today. And again, they look amazing. I'm definitely looking
You see all that brick?
I see it going up.
Did you see all that brick? That's all because ain't no siding. We didn't do nothing cheap. But can I just take a personal privilege? Thank you for saying that, because we did those houses, each one are worth almost $400,000. Now I see why people build houses and then they charge so much money for them. But a lot of times people don't pay attention to the quality. Yeah. I don't want something just to go up and say seniors go in there and live. We got elevators in those places. And the waiting list is unbelievable. Really? We're gonna do a lottery to try to keep it as fair as possible. We only got 10 units. Okay. So it's not like we got 50 units, right? But we only got 10 units. But we have elevators in that. We have a community place where the house can enjoy each other. And everything we try to do top grade. Everything. That's why I said you see the brick. Not so much it's being built. The brick on the building, because we didn't do siding. It's solid. Yes. And that's solid as a rock, as Patty used to say. And that's what I'm hoping for. So I'm looking forward to that opening up. And I hope this could be a good role model for others to really give back. But the seniors were on my spirit. And people say a lot of things wonderful about seniors, but they don't do much. But I'm hopeful.
No, I agree with you on that, especially with the current situation we're in as a state, as a city. With lack of affordable housing, people being displaced, not able to age in place here in the city of Wilmington. So again, I thank you for that. I can't wait for the grand opening. Yes. Which is in early
around May, maybe May. Yeah.
2025. Yeah. Again, I've been watching them slowly pit it up and everything. And again, it's always fun watching a project come from a dream, from the renderings and everything, to that ribbon cutting opportunity.
Yeah, so. And there's going to be, and there was some major players. I'll say this: we don't talk about him too much. But because this is our last show, we just cutting the breeze right now. I'm going to give a strong shout out to Darius, State Senator Darius Brown. When no one believed my vision, he did. And he helped us a whole lot. And one of the people who we're going to name this property after is him. Because when the church saw his commitment, we cannot just let that die. And he's quiet. He seems like he's not even around anymore. He's so, went and he started hiding. You need to come out of there, Reverend. But for real, I'm grateful for people like him who really looked out for us. And we're going to be naming many people who was very instrumental. It wasn't about Pastor Curry. It was about people who really believed in that vision. And this model, we hope we do well. And for the people who wanted to stop it, like Ziki, is that his? Did I say his name right?
Pazicki, yeah.
Oh, it's a P. Yeah. Pazicki, okay. Who really wanted it stopped. I mean, did everything in his power, made sure he didn't approve the zoning, had his people on board to do what they needed to do. We were able to still find a way to make it happen. And I'm grateful for that. But there are some other politicians I want to thank too. I'll do that at another time. Coby, we got a couple more minutes, and I want to make sure that we use all of our last couple minutes together. Is there anything else in your spirit that you may want to share?
I'll say this, because you talked about Darius. Yeah. He ain't going to hiding. He went on and started working on another project, because his thing is you have to deliver for the community. And since he's been down in the state Senate, he's been on the bond committee, he's been on the Joint Finance Committee, Grant and Aid, as well too. He has really helped a lot of nonprofits in the city of Wilmington, especially in his district as well too. But also this year he hosted two major seminars called Opportunity Lives Here to highlight the business opportunity within his district as well too. He has parts of the riverfront. He has Edgemore, he has north side of Wilmington, he has Route 9. So again, he has a very diverse district and bringing more opportunities and funding to this area. But one thing over my way that he helped with is the Think Do Hub.
The who?
The Think Do Hub. Okay. And that is the new North Wilmington Library Hub that is going to be a few blocks down from the Children's Library in North Wilmington. It is a $22 million facility that has been, again, going up. And it should be open by like March if they stay on schedule right now. But again, this is a project to bring new opportunity to the north side. He also was instrumental in helping get funding for the new STEM hub at Eastside Charter that partnered with Chemours and got some federal money as well too. But again, these are things that are bringing to he's helping bring to the community that has not been there in a very long time.
It's funny because when I first came to the city, me and Darius did not get along.
Really?
We did not. We did not. He's a former Delaware State student, and we just didn't like each other. And that's all right. Two preachers, isn't that interesting? Did not like each other. But you know what? I learned about Darius, and I appreciate him so much. Is that Darius is about delivering. If you're doing something, I don't need to be in, he doesn't need his name on it. He just want to make sure if I got the means, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. Some of our politicians are so stuck on themselves that they're not able to. And that's why I'm hoping as you're getting ready to go into city council that whatever you can, because you can't deliver on so much because you're the council, but there's certain things you can deliver on. You can vote to support and to try to raise consciousness of, especially this homeless situation that's going on in our city. But I'm grateful for him. And it's interesting that I'm using all these politicians that I was using as people who have done very well, because you're public servants. And even though sometimes people never give you credit for what you do, for those who don't do anything but one thing out of the 10 to 20 years they were there is deplorable, but I'm very grateful for him. And I'm grateful for so many others who get ready to start up this new thing. Y'all council, boy, it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be lively. It's going to be debatable. So how are you feeling?
I feel good. Okay. I feel good. We're still going over committees. We're still going over rules and stuff. One of the big things that a lot of us have been pushing for is restoring the power of the council president. making sure we have good, strong leaders who have a background for each committee that they'll be leading. So again, I think President Congo is doing a good job with that, and I'm looking forward to supporting him on January 7th as we all get sworn in. Again, that's at 8 p.m. It's open to everyone. But again, as we go through that process, it's been a learning experience. Going through orientation, seeing some things that we've said, oh, this is how it's done. You have the power to do this. Certain council members say, oh, no, you don't. You're lying. Called us all type of names. And then during orientation, it says right there, you do have the power. Right. So it's like, aha, I was right. Type things. But again, learning about the budget, learning about, where funding has gone or where funding hasn't gone. In my area, there's been very little funding, right? There's been funding for where the current council person has been connected to, the boards he sat on and stuff like that. So again, we want to make sure we broaden all that and making sure it's more equitable. So again, I'm loving it. I'm having a good time just learning more, soaking up as much knowledge as possible, and looking forward to getting started. We've already started the budget season. Right now, I'm just a volunteer, not getting paid for any of it. But again, the meetings have been constant, meeting with different civic association leaders and just people in the community about projects that they have in mind that we need to get funding for and everything like that.
Now, constituent services, y'all are going to make sure that y'all get that strengthened, because for this side of the world, of the city, you call that 311 and you get nothing.
I am not a fan of 311 whatsoever.
But even sometimes you call some of these offices, not all of them, but some of them, and they just don't respond. They don't answer the phone. They don't treat you like you're human.
So I will say this: the constituent service office currently has 2 people in it. Then they have a TPO, a third-party operator, who runs 311. A lot of the 311 operators do not know anything about City of Wilmington, or if they do, they're not very helpful, right? I would love to see in-house constituent service office be up and running at full strength. The 2 people are there. They are working their butts off right now. But again, it's 2 people for a city that's 72,000. That's not enough. Yeah.
And lastly, do you know where all of these people are going? The mayor is leaving to go wherever he's going to go. Where is his chief of staff going? Where is his other sidekick, the one who does all the malicious things to people that the mayor don't like?
That I don't know quite yet. I am looking forward to seeing, what's announced over this next week and a half, pretty much. But as of right now, I do not know where they're all going. And
the current mayor, not the current, but the Mayor Carney, has he announced any of those individuals staying in his team?
So Tanny Washington is staying on for a little bit, but outside of that, one of the deputy chiefs he's keeping on is a current deputy chief. She's been in that role for about a year now.
Deputy chief of what?
Operations.
Okay.
And that's Stephanie Migler. And then he's bringing in 2 new people, a new chief of staff, a new deputy chief of staff.
Okay. Who did he announce that person yet?
The deputy chief of staff, yes. So policy and communication will be Daniel Walker, who has a wealth of knowledge. He actually is a former legislative aide down in Dover. Okay. Then he went on to be the president and CEO and executive director of Delaware CAN, which is a charter school network. And then he became the chief of staff for the city of Wilmington for 2.5 years. And then he was tapped by Carney to be the deputy secretary of health and social services. So excellent. He has a lot of knowledge, especially when it comes to policy as well, too. One of the brightest minds out there. So I'm definitely looking forward to working with him as someone who's looking to get into my council position and work on policy.
Perfect. Well, Coby, we've come to the end of another year on the air. Next time we come on, it'll be a brand new year. But I want to first thank you for your consistency. This is one of the jobs you do not get paid for. Neither do I. But I want to thank you for showing up and being here, giving us your wisdom, giving us your knowledge. The community appreciate you, Coby. What you have done for us has augmented our lives, and we're grateful for that. And as you end this year and move forward to your new year, I pray that your family, your mom, and all who you hold dear to you will be blessed and have all the things that God has. And I'll say the same thing to those of you who are watching us every week. I pray that God's blessings be upon you. As they said in the old Jewish tradition, and I love it, it says, may the rain always fall to your back and the sun to your face, and the countenance of God be upon you. Until the next time, God bless you.
Take care, y'all.
You've been watching The Source with host Dr. C.T. Curry and co-host Coby Owens. Tune in every Sunday at 5 p.m. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest episodes.